Hey everyone, Michelle here with Next Chapter Counseling. I wanted to make a video this week to follow up on the video that I posted last week. The video I posted last week answered the question of when you want to break up with someone, how can you do that with kindness and respect? So this week I wanted to make a video to address the other side of things when you're the one who's being broken up with, when you're the one on the receiving end of the breakup, how to manage what may come up for you the minute you hear that news from your partner that they no longer want to be with you, because it's an incredibly heartbreaking, difficult thing to go through. So I wanted to kind of address the other side and give some thoughts on how to best manage that when you find yourself in that situation of being broken up with. So before I go any further, I want to point something out. Basically, I know that after a breakup happens, there's a lot of aftermath that comes in recovering from it and moving forward. So I'm not going to get all into that in this video, but what I did do for you guys is in the description below, I've put a link to a guide that I created that's all about recovering from a breakup. So if you recently went through a breakup and you're struggling to heal and move forward, I really encourage you to click on that link in the description. All you have to do once you click on it is it'll just ask you to put in your email, and then you'll get the guide sent to you pretty much immediately after that. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, definitely read over the guide. Basically, this video is just going to be about when you're in that breakup conversation. So when you just hear the words out of their mouth where they tell you that they're breaking up with you, how to handle that specific moment, if that makes sense, not all of the aftermath that comes later. So the first thing that I want to say about this when it comes to being in that moment of being broken up with is, as hard as it may be to really give yourself some kindness and some compassion, because nobody is going to be able to perfectly maintain their composure when this happens. Your body is going to go into potentially a state of shock or just feeling overwhelmed, and it's really likely that you may have a response that you wish you weren't having. You may cry, you may freeze up and not feel like you can say anything. You could potentially get really angry, want to yell at them. You're not going to be your best self in this moment, and that's okay. That's why I wanted to make this video, is to kind of walk you through some things you can try so that you can come back together and get through this really difficult thing that you're hearing from them. But I want to say that first and foremost is you do not have to try to keep it together, because it's just going to be too much in the moment to try to really stifle all the emotions that you're feeling. Something's probably going to come out, and that's okay. But along with that, the first thing that I want to say is that it's okay to take a break. That's the first thing I want to suggest. The minute that you hear these words, if you feel yourself having a visceral response in your body, which will probably happen, it's okay to say, I need to go use the restroom real quick, or I need to go take a couple minutes outside, or I just need some time to compose myself. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Whatever it is, take a little break for yourself, because you just got one of the hardest things that a person can hear. You just got some really hard news. So take a couple minutes on your own, away from them, to process it. That's completely okay to ask for a break. So that's the first thing that I suggest you do. If you feel like that would be helpful for you, take a step away before you come back and continue the conversation. Now, when you do come back to continue the conversation, the next thing I want to suggest is that you ask questions. I mentioned this in the last video that I made, is that a lot of times the person who is doing the breaking up, they get hesitant on being honest about why they're choosing to end the relationship. They may get worried about hurting your feelings or things like that, but you probably have some questions. You probably have some things you want to know. So ask those questions. The last thing that I want is for people to leave these conversations with a lot of confusion. I know there's going to be some confusion, but we want to lessen it. We want it to be that you feel like after you've gotten this news, that you at least said what was on your mind so that you get like a little bit of closure rather than leaving not having said anything that you were thinking. This is your time. Ask the questions, say what's on your mind to the person, and get some answers, and hopefully they will answer your questions and be honest with you. The final thing I'm going to say is that after you leave that conversation, like you go home that day, it's probably going to hit you all over again. You're probably going to get like this other wave of having even more questions come up and more things on your mind about them breaking up with you. And it can be all too tempting to want to reach out to them. And the final thing that I want to say is don't do it. Don't send them a text. Don't call them. Do not reach out to them after they've broken up with you, as hard as that may be. And I'll tell you why. What happens, unfortunately, a lot of the time is that when you're on the receiving end of the breakup and then you try to reach back out to them and kind of bring them back around, they just broke up with you for a reason. Whatever their reasons are, they had them. And when you reach back out, what I see time and time again is then you face further rejection. Then you're more likely, like when you send a text, you're likely, not going to get any response back, or to get a response back that's basically like, I don't want to talk to you, or something to that degree. You're just going to be facing the possibility of them rejecting you again and again the more you try to reach out. So don't put yourself through that possibility. Don't reach out to them. Just cool it in terms of having contact with them. If they choose to reach out to you in like a couple weeks or a couple months, that's a different story, because they are showing that they have, taken the time away that they unfortunately wanted by breaking up with you, and then now they're open to having some contact again. So if they reach back out to you, like I said, different story. If you decide to re-engage with them, you can totally do that if you want to. Again, it's a risk to take, but hey, if they're showing that they are open to talking with you, you can talk back if you choose. But I really don't recommend trying to reach out to them when they may just continue telling you no. That can make an already difficult breakup 10 times worse when you're trying and trying and trying and not getting anything back. So save yourself the trouble. Don't try in the first place is what I recommend. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, if you did just recently go through a breakup and you want to know more about how you can heal, click on the link in the description below. Otherwise, that's all I got for you guys today. And if you have a question for me, send it in an email, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com. And I'll be back here next week with another question for you guys. Thanks. Bye.